What's going on, guys? DStyleBoxing here. Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on archive. Let's go ahead and talk some. It's regarding Mayweather versus McGregor, admittedly so. But the argument that has been presented to me multiple times. I forgot the dude's name, Tim Black or something like that. I did a video. Has about 18,000 views, and people are like, oh, this sounds amazing. And here's what I have to say about that video. And I hope he runs into this video, by the way. If you're subscribed to him, if you listen to his channel, send him this link. I hope he runs into it. I really do. Right? Because when Mayweather beats that ass, okay, I'm swear to God. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's go ahead and talk about this right now. Because this is the argument that has been presented to me, right? And the argument basically is as follows, okay? And if I'm getting it wrong, go ahead and tell me I'm getting it wrong, please. The argument is, this is the argument. Disruption comes from an outside entity. It doesn't come from within. Boxing has become so refined over the years that all boxers just agree that this is just the way you box. This is the way you do it, right? The boxing fundamentals, which boxers don't even follow anymore, okay, by the way. And that's a problem with boxing. But that aside, boxing, you know, it just comes from within. It comes from that, and it's become so refined that boxers have just agreed that when a guy throws a jab, the only, you know, it's you can slip it, you can parry it, but boxers have just agreed that there's no other thing you can do when somebody throws a jab at you. That everybody has just agreed that this is just the way we box, and that's it. That there's this silent agreement that boxers don't even realize they're making in the fact that, well, we're not going to try this because that doesn't work. We're not going to try this because that doesn't work, because you've been told it doesn't work. And you're going to box this way with this stance. You're going to have your balance this way, because that's what works. And that's what we all have agreed works. Now this individual, the video I heard, very I think he's in a whole nother stratosphere, because he keeps talking about the people that are saying things like, well, he's not a boxer, he's never boxed, he doesn't stand a shot, right? That's basically, and he keeps referring to people that have only watched 10 fights their whole life. What do they know? Now, I don't know if you know this or not, buddy, but the general public are giving McGregor a very good chance to win this fight. Okay, that's the problem. It's not the people saying that he has no shot. Okay, the people saying he has no shot are actually the people that know boxing. All right, that's which want to make that clear. Now, this vague argument of it's so refined, it's from within, blah 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 blah, right? Now, granted, if a fighter was ever going to change the way people should fight in boxing, okay, if let's say everything we know as it is, you know, it's just we have it all messed up. We got it all backwards. You're not supposed to use a jab. Okay, like, let's say using the jab is actually a bad thing. I don't know. Well, whatever happens, right? The fact that, oh, this could happen in one fight is ridiculous, right? No scientific experiment. You don't just test it one time. You do it several times, right? Because there could be outliers. There could be an anomaly. Now, those things are possible, and whether you like it or not, that's the only shot Conor McGregor really has. Now, if Conor wants to prove that, you know, even if he does beat Floyd, he would have to actually have a successful boxing career. A career, not one fight, a career. Okay? To change the trajectory of boxing. Okay? He would have to do that. Now, he did mention one thing, which I do agree with. Boxing has refined itself and has evolved over time. It has. Many things have been tested. Many things. Many styles have come and gone. Many styles have gone obsolete. That is true. But to say that boxing just gets better over time, the argument is, look, right now, everybody is, and I quote him, boxing has itself so far up its own ass. That's what he said. That it doesn't even, it's not open to other possibilities, other things working. That is such a vague thing to say, because to suggest in any way, shape, or form that all boxing styles are the same is ridiculous. Okay, that is absolutely ludicrous. I don't care what anybody says. Right now, if you want to question if it's about the fundamentals, right, that may be the way a lot of fighters start learning. Okay, but they develop their own styles from there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, not every fighter slips punches, rolls with punches. Not every fighter does parries. Not every fighter, okay, does pull counters. Not every fighter does all these things. There are fighters that take a lot of punishment, okay, and just brawl it out and fight it out, okay. So there is fighters that their game plan isn't to win a decision or win rounds. It's to knock a guy out, right? I mean, that's Margarito would be a great example of that. Margarito's not trying to win rounds when he fought, okay? And we later found out, okay, that he had loaded gloves, okay, or loaded hand wraps, that is. Like, we later found that out. But how could anyone possibly look at an Antonio Margarito and at a Floyd Mayweather in any way, shape, or form and say, yeah, they're both boxers. Look at them. They both fight the same. How could anyone with any rationale possibly look at those two fighters and say, they're both effective in their own way. They both became world champions in their own way, but not the same way, not even similar. They fight nothing alike. One guy gets punched repeatedly in the face, and he smiles. The other guy rolls with the shots and slips them. Completely different. Night and day. Night and day. Now, they're using the word refined, and they're using the words like, oh, they're all just agreeing that this is the way to do it. Look, let me tell you something, and I've said this a million times. Boxing, all right, it's not like other martial arts, and that's if you want to call it a martial art. It's nothing like it, okay? Boxing is nothing like that. First of all, what separates boxing from a lot of other martial arts, boxing is practiced in a very violent manner and has been for over 100 years, meaning it's actually been tested over and over and over and over again. Not like karate where they had points and, where they were just tapping each other. Those really were love taps, okay? Not like Taekwondo where it's nothing like that. Now, I'm not saying that Taekwondo guys don't get freaking bruises in their legs or something like that, okay? But what I'm trying to say is, if you really look at it, there's two specific ones. Wrestling, right, and boxing. They're continuously practiced. Continuously. And it hasn't stopped for over 100 years. And I'm basing this off of Marcus of Queensberry. It has not stopped. It hasn't stopped. It's routinely, okay, processed. Routinely. And yes, guys have tried to do things out of the ordinary. It's been done. It has been done, right? Now, one may say, well, things evolve, things get better. Let me tell you something, right? Now, we could sit here and we could argue all day on what's better, the skyscraper, the buildings from today, or the Great Pyramids of Egypt. We could sit here and argue all day. Well, it depends. If we go by longevity, these buildings aren't going to last over 1,000 years, all right? It depends exactly on what you're talking about. When you say refined, as far as knowing or having an idea of what works and what doesn't, yes, they do know that in boxing, right? The argument and what they're trying to say is basically this, okay? Conor McGregor is going to fight differently than what a boxer fights like. And that's going to startle Mayweather. It's going to catch Mayweather so off guard. He's not going to be able to get the timing, and he's going to have such a hard time with Conor McGregor. That's basically what the argument is. You could just say that. We don't have to go through this long fucking charade, right? We really don't. It's at the end of the day, right? Here are some things that people are missing, okay? In that same video, this guy says McGregor's already done it. And I like scratched my head. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's already disrupted the way MMA fighters thought you should fight. You know, when he beat Aldo and, you know, it's nobody fights like Aldo no more. You know, because McGregor disrupted that. You know, what's interesting is, first of all, McGregor lost to Diaz. That's number one. But number two, okay, yeah, bigger, okay, whatever. But number two, how many times has McGregor defended his championship? How many times? And I know it's irrelevant to the boxing discussion. I know that. But how many times has he defended this championship? Sometimes the guy just has the guy's number. Like, you know what I mean? So sometimes that's just the way it is. And we can say, well, he wouldn't beat him anyway. How do you know? Maybe somebody will disrupt McGregor. You never know, right? But back to this boxing thing. Oh, it's so refined. It's just, there's this, boxers just, when they fight each other, they just agree that we're not going to do certain things. Look, if that's what you think, then good for you, okay? If it makes you sleep better at night, okay, it's going to happen. The fight's going to happen. So, all right, it literally is going to happen. But this idea that he's going to disrupt boxing and all of a sudden everybody's going to be like, oh, my God, we've been boxing wrong this whole time, right? This idea that, well, if it's the unorthodox, right, can win you a fight. Orthodox, okay, gives you a great career. Okay, that's the difference, right? If you want to argue that McGregor's unorthodox style is going to cause Mayweather problems and possibly pull off the upset, I can live with that. But if you're going to argue that Conor McGregor is going to change the concept of boxing as we know it, right? Because he's going to bring a different flavor to boxing. You know, I'm interested to know what that flavor is. Well, what you think we never seen a straight left before, or what? Is it the straight left? Is the straight left what we're supposed to look out for? Is that what it is? You never seen a straight left like that. He timed it so well. Really? And by the way, we've had boxers all the time, very athletic boxers that got away with, you know, not boxing the quote unquote right way. Okay, Teddy Atlas hates boxers like that. It's not like those boxers don't exist. There are boxers that don't generally do things the way you're supposed to. Don't circle the direction that you're supposed to. And, you know, people scratch their heads and they're successful at it. Okay, unorthodox behavior happens in boxing all the time. Okay, all the fucking time. You want to talk about outsiders? Not everybody that does boxing has done it since they were a little kid. I mean, Winker Wright picked it up at age 18. Okay, and yes, they're going to go to a boxing gym and they're going to teach them how to do things correctly in order to be successful. That's the truth with every sport, right? You don't just, well, we're just going to make something up and let's see if it works. That's not the way it works. That is not the way it works, right? Now tell me, This idea, right? Tell me, if the theory of, well, the awkwardness of the UFC fighter is just too much for the boxer, he's not going to be able to figure out in one fight. Tell me, why did Mike Perry get knocked out? And I hate to keep going back to this one, but why did Mike Perry get knocked the fuck out against a journeyman boxer? Why did that happen? Well, Mike Perry's not as good as McGregor. Well, what? I mean, that journeyman boxer is nowhere near Floyd Mayweather's level. I can tell you that right now. So it kind of evens itself out. I mean, he's closer to McGregor than the journeyman boxers to Floyd. I can tell you that right now. Right? If Mike Perry right now, let's look up Mike Perry. Let's look up this guy. Where is he right now in the UFC? Let me get this shit up. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm actually too lazy to do it. I'm not going to share the screen. I was going to share the screen, but fuck that. Let's look up Mike Perry right now, right? I'm very curious where this guy is ranked right now, okay? I really am. Let's see, Mike Perry ranking. I'm in the UFC website right now. What the fuck is this guy ranked, man? How do I get to the rankings on this fucking website? I don't fucking know. I don't know. I can't find the ranking. It is what it is. I'm not gonna spend the whole video looking for that shit. Right? You just have to take my word for it. Okay, he's in the UFC. Okay, but I'm trying to figure out though, like all bullshit aside. Okay, if anybody could tell me, all right, if that theory is correct, right? Why hasn't anybody done it yet? Like if all it takes is if your awkwardness is gonna just give boxers all types of problems, why hasn't anybody done it yet? Why there has to be a one time. This is the perfect time to do it, D-Style. McGregor, he just has timing on his side, D-Style. D-Style, you don't understand D-Style. You don't understand D-Style. Now Mike Perry's what? He's 10-1 right now. He's a UFC fighter. Knocking guys out. He's just knocking guys out left and right, by the way. Left and right, knocking them out. Everybody could lose. He lost one fight. Everybody could lose. McGregor lost 3 times. Anybody could lose in our reality, right? If the awkwardness is going to give him trouble, well, why didn't Ray Mercer knock out Tim Silva? Where was the awkwardness? Well, why didn't he use that awkwardness to get Ray Mercer off guard? Well, what happened? Where was the awkwardness? Where was it? Huh? It doesn't take much, guys. It doesn't take much to research this information, right? It's not going to be pretty. That's the thing. Learning fundamentals. That's like saying, oh, if a great athlete, a great athlete could go to NBA and the NBA players, they just agreed that, this is the way you play basketball, and they learn certain fundamentals, so that they don't have, they're just not creative enough anymore, and they because of the way they play, that's what makes LeBron James look so dominant. If this other athlete went to basketball, he's not going to play LeBron like a basketball player. Disruption comes from outside, not from within. He's going to take LeBron off because he's not going to have proper fundamentals. He's not going to be dribbling the ball correctly, and that's going to throw LeBron James off. Yeah, that's how fucking retarded you sound. Okay, No, but this is different. It's not different. It's the same fucking shit, right? It's the same fucking shit. Mark my words. Conor McGregor, as soon as he's punched in the mouth, it's gonna be boxing like any other fucking boxer, right? This whole like, why not have your legs wide? You know, that's just a dumb agreement that boxing has had that style won't work. Okay, fine then. Have your fucking feet as wide as you fucking want. Okay, I don't give a shit. Okay, that's not a proper way of fighting. Okay, it's gonna get you off balance, and we know that from experimenting it millions of times over and over again in the history of the sport. All right, like that's holy shit. No. But this style, you don't understand. You just believe that that's the way to do it because that's what you've been watching your whole life. This style. Conor McGregor's going to bring a look that Mayweather has no opportunity to train for. It's going to catch him off guard. It's going to be in awe. McGregor's going to be just too much for him. Okay. So when I say, okay, break it down. No, but this style, you can't break it down, this style. How can I break it down for you? Because you want to talk about it like it's a regular boxing fight. But I can't tell you in boxing terms how he's going to beat Mayweather. I can't tell you that because he's not going to box him. He's going to fight him in MMA style with a fist. And that can't be explained, this style. It's going to be too much. He's going to be too much. Usain Bolt is used to racing against guys that have learned to run a certain way. It's going to take somebody not from within to beat him. Somebody from the outside to come in and beat Usain Bolt in the race. Usain Bolt's used to running against guys that think that that's the only way to run. You know, they were taught to run a certain way. But maybe there's other ways you can run that could beat Usain Bolt. Oh my God. I told you guys I would turn to a fucking joker, right? What's up, Hyplo? If you want in, let me know. I'll send you a link. No, but this style, you don't understand. Right? Yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand at all. Okay. Oh man. You know, this whole I can't explain to you in boxing terms how McGregor's gonna win because he's not gonna box him. That's what you don't understand. Like, all of them. McGregor's punch, his left hand, right? Like the one he landed on Aldo, which he hit. Aldo had both his hands down. Okay, when he got knocked out, man. Okay, all right. The way he knocked out Mendez, all those knockouts, all of them, right? Especially the ones he landed the left hook. I'm sorry, the straight with the left straight. That is a boxing punch that was developed decades and decades ago. All right? That is a punch that Conor McGregor learned to throw, okay, when he was an amateur boxer. Okay? That came from within. Okay? There's no disruptions from within. Are you sure about that? Rome crumbled from within. You know, it didn't crumble from, that's how it crumbled. These are vague things that people are saying, right? They're vague. Perry's ranked 14th, says Man in Water. Okay, so back to that point, right? Because if I say Mike Perry lost to a journeyman boxer, right? That's now ranked 150th in the world, right? And by the looks of it, he's probably going to drop even more soon, right? Because he's losing a lot now. But the more he's climbing up, he's starting to lose, right? So one will say, well, come on, McGregor's better than Perry, right? Well, we don't know how far Perry's going to go. He just started his journey, right? But we don't know how good he's going to get. Guys lose, like guys in MMA, like it's rare that they're undefeated. Like, they lose. Okay, aside from like a John Jones, a lot of them lose and then they get in a winning streak. It happens, right? But and we don't know what's going to happen with McGregor in the next few years. He might lose some fights. You never know. But let's say that he's better than him, right? McGregor's a two-division champion. Mike Perry's ranked 14th in the world, right? Okay, fine. Mayweather's the best in the world. Okay, this dude's a journeyman boxer, right? That ranked 150th. Let's call it even. Okay. At the end of the day, why didn't all that awkward MMA awkwardness that is not from the inside? Why didn't he school the boxer and show him, hey, all the fundamental bullshit, all your fighting bullshit? I'm going to teach you how it's done. Why did he get knocked out? Because that would be a perfect way to prove it. Or to a certain degree, like at least, well, he beat a journeyman boxer with it, and let's see where he goes, right? Now let's see where that goes. Let's see if I could send something here really quick. No, but D-Style, you don't understand. D-Style. You don't understand. You guys can have it both ways, okay? You can't argue that an MMA fighter is going to fight completely different to the boxer. Yet at the same time, when I say, well, they haven't boxed before, say, well, they do boxing. They spar against professional boxers all the time. Well, gee, where are all the stories? Well, why don't I hear boxers everywhere that box with these MMA fighters just talk about how amazing these guys were? They just threw them off guard, and they just like, oh my God, they showed me stuff that they showed me stuff, not the other way around. I'm gonna use some of this stuff in my pro boxing fights. My MMA friend taught me. Why hasn't that happened? Because they've been sparring MMA fighters for a decade now. Where's that? Well, according to the video I heard, McGregor's already shooken up MMA. He's already having guys fight different styles, even though everybody from his gym is getting their fucking ass kicked. Okay? He's the only one that's succeeding. All right? That's number one. Second, aside from Shad Mendes, he hasn't fought a serious threat, okay, that could take him down with that like a very serious wrestler. He hasn't fought that yet, okay? And Chad Mendes was beating his ass, all right? And, well, it's always the same thing. Well, he had this injury, he had that injury. I mean, okay, fine, he had injuries. I'm sure we're going to hear that he had injuries after Mayweather beats his ass too, right? No, but this time you don't understand. Well, what did they say he had after the Mendes fight? Like a fucked up ACL or some bullshit like that? I don't know. But you don't understand D-Style. And somebody tell me what I don't understand. Look, if the argument is as follows, I can tolerate the following argument. Conor McGregor is not trying to have a successful boxing career. He's trying to pull an upset in one fight. Right? Let's say that's the argument. And the argument is it's going to take Mayweather a couple rounds to get the timing down because Conor's going to fight in such an awkward way that it's going to take Mayweather time to get readjusted to that or adjust to that is. But in that space of time, in that window, whether it's a round, whether it's a minute, whether it's 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds, in that window, that's Conor McGregor's chance, and he has enough power in his left hand to take out Mayweather. Now, I think that's all bullshit. Like, I think that's bullshit. But if you make that argument, okay, fine. I can live with that, okay? See, that doesn't sound as ludicrous as some of the other shit I'm hearing. It just doesn't. Like this whole, like, he's going to shake up the boxing world. Now, Not in a way where everybody's going to start changing their style of boxing or all that. But of course, it's going to like be shocking if he wins. Of course it is, right? But in order to prove that this is the new way to do it, he's going to have to show us, okay, multiple times. Like you can't just do that in one fight. That's not the way it works, okay? Because even the argument of, well, boxers aren't used to, because even if it's that they're not used to that timing, they're not used to that movement, it's going to take them off guard. Well, what happens when they get used to that movement and adjust to it anyway? And then you're no longer unorthodox to them. They got you down at that point. You know, what do you do then? You know, it seems to me that the best argument is that his window of opportunity is going to close in that fight. And it's up to him to put an end to that fight before that window closes. That is the best argument I've heard, right? But when I hear some of this other and even though it's a well-said argument, it gives you an incentive to watch the fight, and it also leaves enough room for, when we all know the inevitable, Mayweather outboxes his ass, right? But when that happens, it leaves enough room for, well, look, you know, I said he had a window to do it. He couldn't do it. Like, and that's it. Right? So those people are looking for that scapegoat. You know, they want credit if he wins, but then they want to be able to say, you know, no, but I didn't say he was going to do it. I said he had a good chance. But remember, I said that if he can't do it before that window closes, then Mayweather's going to outbox him the rest of the fight. Right? And that's what they're doing. Like it's a clever trick. Right? So first of all, props to the people saying that McGregor's going to win, right? Props to them, because at least they have the balls to say it. Okay, the ones that think they're being clever by giving two predictions in one are being absolutely ridiculous. They're being ridiculous, man. Like it's not even funny. Like how can you say, no, look, Mayweather has to be the favorite, but I'm telling you, Mayweather's not used to that style. It's going to take him 2-3 rounds to kind of figure it out. And I'm telling you, that's McGregor's chance to win the fight. But if he doesn't do it in those 2-3 rounds, then Mayweather's going to win that fight, right? Then because you're leaving yourself to be correct no matter what. If it happens, I told you he had a chance. I said it. If he doesn't do it, see, I told you. He only had that small window. He couldn't do it, and Floyd won the fight. I called it. Well, no, that's not the way it works. Like, you can't do that. Like, what is that? You can't do that. You can't. Like, a lot of you guys think you're being clever, but it's not the way it works. If you think if you believe it's an even fight and any guy could win, then say that. If you don't think it's an even fight, then you got to pick one or the other. Like it's not like, you know, I'm just saying, logically speaking, unless you think, if you think, like, let me tell you what an excellent chance means, right? An excellent chance to win means an excellent chance to win. That's literally what it means. Okay, it means what it means. It doesn't mean, oh well. I'm just saying it's. If Mayweather wins, it's going to seem like it was a one-sided fight. But I'm telling you, it's all in that small window of time. That's when Conor can win the fight. Nah, bro. Like, I ain't buying this shit. After that one-sided fight ends, okay? When that one-sided beatdown happens, right? I'm telling you that right now. I don't want to hear, oh, well, he had a chance. He had a chance. But he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Once Mayweather figured it out, it became one-sided. Like, no, man. That's stupid, bro. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You don't understand. You don't understand. All right? It's a lot of these guys that learn golfing, You know, they've all agreed to swing a certain way. Okay, I'm telling you, if I do it, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm gonna swing it differently. Right? They've all agreed to swing the quote unquote proper way. No, but you don't understand. You don't understand. Okay, all these pitchers. Okay, no, hold on. All these baseball players, they're used to pitchers pitching a certain way. Okay, like knuckleball, fastball, curveball, fastball. Right? They're used to the pitcher throwing it a certain way. Okay, with a certain technique in the mound. Okay, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. If you get Conor McGregor, okay, he's not gonna pitch that way. It's gonna throw the batter off. It's gonna throw him off when he throws that ball because they're used to a pitch being thrown properly. You know, but when it's not thrown properly, it's gonna throw him off. Like he's gonna wonder if it's gonna hit him or something. It's gonna throw him off. I'm telling you, it's gonna throw him off. Baseball, it has itself, you know, up its own ass. Really? Is that what we're gonna hear? If Benamar says McGregor wins, I'll raffle off the title to my house on YouTube. $500,000 home, a quarter mile from the Godfather house for free. Just get the winning number. See, fuck out of here. Well, look, everybody's saying like they're making it. And let me give you another. This guy, some of the stupid shit this guy said, right? And it's always the same thing. It's never about the ring. It's always about shit outside the ring. Like the guy go. This is literally what he said. McGregor's already disrupting boxing. He said. Just look at the press conferences. A guy from the NGM goes on the podium, and everybody boos him. And then a guy from Showtime goes up to the podium. Everybody boos him. And everybody's wondering, why does boxing do that? Why did no one ever disrupt that, he said. And he said, because boxing has conformed itself to that, basically is what he said. Because that's the way they've always done it. Someone from the outside, you know, Conor McGregor, had to disrupt that. Because there's never disruptions from within, he says. No? Right. So, I mean, that's nice. Okay, that's nice. You know, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Okay? That's stupid. That's just dumb. No. That's not what they were booing. Okay, it was not a self-correcting process. They were booing because they wanted to hear from the fighters and they wanted to hear from Conor McGregor because the vast majority of them were Conor McGregor fans and they watch MMA and their press conferences are different. That's what happened. Like it doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened. Okay, it wasn't some macro scale, godly like, you know, stars aligned, you know, situation. That's not what happened. That's actually not what happened at all. That's not what happened at all, actually. You know? But yeah, that was an argument. That was an argument about disruption from within. Which isn't even true, by the way. There's no such thing as that's the only disruptions that exist. That's not even true. No, but this style, you don't understand. The fact that Conor has never had a professional boxing fight is his advantage, not his disadvantage. You don't understand. That's to his advantage. Floyd Mayweather has had a disadvantage because he's had 49 professional fights. That's literally what they're arguing. Like, that's literally, like, they don't say it like that, but that's what they're saying. It's fucking insane, man. All right. If they really wanted to test this out, right? Honest to God, why didn't they do, like, I fucking hate the undercard, man. They should have done all boxing fights, right? To, like, really test this theory out. Let's do it. Let's get, they're the ones saying that. Okay, by the way, before anybody says, well, why don't the boxers go to the UFC? And because nobody is saying, oh, the boxer goes to the UFC, you know, it's going to disrupt everything and they'll knock them out because they're used to guys moving a certain way. Like, nobody's saying that bullshit, okay? But they should have done it. They should have done a whole undercard of guys from the UFC going to box fighters, like boxers. You know, and let's see what the record is at the end of the night. They would have lost every fucking fight. Okay? Every fucking fight. They don't want to experiment it that way. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Why not? If you're saying, all right, like, no scientific experiment is just done one time. It's got to be done several times. If the theory is that the awkwardness of a MMA fighter will throw a boxer, you know, off by so much because the boxers are so refined and used to boxing a certain way, then let's test it. We should have done like 6 fights on one night. Okay, all boxers versus MMA fighters in boxing matches. And if that theory is correct, there's no reason whatsoever why you shouldn't get the majority of the victories that night. Oh, you just want to test it with one fight only. Right. You know, like, this is kind of insane, actually, right? That would have made shit interesting, to be honest with you. It would have made the pay-per-view more interesting. We could have had, like, they could have put Aldo in there against some boxer. They could have put whoever. Like, I don't give a fuck. Okay, that UFC champion, he called out Joshua for a boxing fight. We could have done that fight on the undercard, right? Okay, we could have done a lot of fights on the undercard, right? We could have put, you know, they say all boxers are the same, so they don't all have to fight like Floyd. You know, I mean, they could have put whoever. They could have put, you know, you name it, Mike Perry versus a rematch that journeyman boxer knocked him out. You know, they could have done that. Okay, I'm trying to think like what fights they could have done. Like, you know what I mean? Anderson Silva versus Roy Jones. They should have done it in the undercard. You know, they could have done all types of fights in the undercard. And it would have made it interesting, and it would have tested this theory out. Because they're the ones making this theory. You got Schaub over there with this theory. Let's put, you know, Lomachenko in there against the duty spar. What's his name again? Okay, I forgot the name, man, of that guy. The guy that he sparred. Let's put him in a real fight. Let's see how it goes in an actual fight. You know, it would have been interesting. A lot of MMA fans would have started crying then. Okay? They would have started crying like quick. Like, oh, well, why do they have to go to boxing, man? You know, fight them in the MMA fan. Like, okay. No, this isn't fair. Well, you are the idiots in making these dumb arguments. You're the ones that want to, like, really test it out, right? You're the ones that want to challenge the refinedness of boxing. I didn't try to challenge the refinedness of boxing. You did. You did that, right? I didn't tell you to do that. Ben Omar, I hear you, but I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna tell you this right now. Leonard Alaby is a sound to fight. Right? He's selling the fight. That's all he's doing. They're here to make money. They're going to make Conor McGregor sound like a monster before the fight happens. It's what they just got to do that, you know. Damn these style. AJ would have stopped someone. AJ would have killed that dude in a boxing fight. Kidding me? It would have probably ended just as fast as that Ray Mercer Tim Silva fight ended. All right. But anyway, let's see if I miss any commentary. Rascalot said McGregor's gonna look stupid. These style, these fans are blinded by McGregor. Shit talking. I agree. Hypnotype, but he's going to use a karate stance, and that will throw Floyd off. Then the touch of death comes. Right. Hypnotype, boxing fundamentals are designed to work against wide variety of styles effectively. Mike could prove that the other night. Raslot 2222. Floyd has seen it all. Through sparring, through the amateurs, Conor McGregor is food. Man and water. Before the fight, Nate is skinny, fat gazelle. After the fight, Nate is a behemoth. Right? Yeah. Nate Diaz. Hypnotype. They talk about it like it's foil fencing or something. Hypnotype. It's a touch of death. You can take 20 times the punishment of a boxer. Hypnotype. I disagree. MMA fighters don't get 250 times a fight. Hypnotype puts sparring rumors are totally bogus. Take them with a boulder of salt. That's a lot of salt. NYC Durrani. I know McGregor has no shot, but I hope he knocks Floyd out of the ring, Joe Smith Jr. style. Can you explain why? I'm curious. Hypnotype. I'm being sarcastic, Rascot. Some guy said the other day 20 times more punishment. Right. The sparring rumors turned out to be true when it came to Spence. DStyle says, DStyle played an audio vid of a couple days ago. Yes, that was Nelly. Nelly's the one that said that. Nelly said that they take 10 times the amount of punishment, right? This shit's insane, right? This shit's insane. Anyway, this is DStyleBoxing. I'm out.